So tonight's regular school board meeting was the first of additional meetings for public hearing for an aquatic center. And I'd like a special announcement that I would like to make to share with our community. I'm excited to share that the Wheeler family, also the developers, Nick Churchill and Rob Antrim with Crowley Developers, Westfield Washington Schools, and the YMCA of Greater Indianapolis have signed a non-binding memorandum of understanding that contemplates development of a full facility YMCA and conjoined natatorium facility on approximately 10 acres of the Wheelers family property at the southwest corner of Wheeler Road and 181st Street in Westfield. The project is dependent on several important preconditions such as fundraising and development approvals. If all conditions are met, the group hopes to break ground in the spring of 2019 and open the new YMCA and natatorium in the fall of 2020. At our regular school board's meeting this evening, we were able to hear from 3 Westfield Intermediate students about letters that they wrote to me personally just about school start times. And since this was a topic that our school board has been discussing, I thought it was really important for the students to be able to have a voice and to be able to share that with the school board this evening. So other items that the board entertained this evening were some GEO bonds. We looked at summer school camps or summer camps, and then also I looked at some additional CTE course offerings. Thanks so much for watching tonight's edition of our school board meeting.
Okay, thank you everyone for being here. The first item on our agenda is a 1028 public hearing for the Aquatic Center. And I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Day, our school attorney.
Thank you, Mr. President. The purpose tonight is in order for a school corporation to issue bonds, it has to first hold 2 public hearings. So tonight is the first of those 2 public hearings. There will probably be a special meeting next week to hold the second public hearing, and also to then hold what's called a project hearing, which the school must hold any time it proposes to spend more than $1 million. So our object tonight is to talk about why the school may need to issue bonds and what they're going to use it for, and to give you as members of the public an opportunity to speak to that issue. So with that, I believe Dr. Gray is going to talk a little bit about the project that's at hand.
Sure. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the need for this project. So last year we conducted focus group meetings as we were determining our long-term facility needs to accommodate the growth that was outlined in our demographic study. And we're so grateful that our community supported a $90 million referendum for expansions and renovations of Westfield Intermediate School, Westfield Middle School, and Westfield High School, along with facility updates at our elementary schools. We know that maximizing instructional space is a priority of our projects. So there are currently 2 swimming pools in the district, one at the Westfield Middle School and one at Westfield High School, and we will be able to gain roughly 8,000 square feet of instructional space at Westfield Middle School by repurposing the swimming pool area to serve a new band and choir area. The upstairs portion will be utilized for practice space for band and choir. The locker rooms are going to be renovated into instrument storage, and a new hallway will connect the middle of the school building to the east side, which will create a very smooth transition space in hallways, resulting in less congestion. Furthermore, overall estimates were gathered to determine the financial investment of renovating our current pools and/or to construct a new facility. To basically renovate the current pools at Westfield Middle School and Westfield High School and not necessarily improve to the 6A level, we would have been looking at roughly $8 to $10 million per pool. Our pool space has most recently been used for strictly aquatics programming, not really able to conduct wellness or PE classes or any other type of on any type of regular basis. Brand new construction projections would be around $18 to $20 million, plus the cost to purchase land if we did not build on already owned school property. At Westfield High School, we know that instructional space is a premium. The square footage where the pool currently exists has been occupied with the pool space. And what recently has happened is a team of our school personnel, along with architects, have been very involved with really exploring other school and community pool projects. They have visited several aquatic centers in Indiana to gather information and also to prioritize the future needs of our aquatics and wellness programs. So in order to meet the future needs of programming, an off-site location was determined to be the best direction and course of action. The current space at the high school will be renovated in the last phase of the high school construction project, incorporating additional much-needed locker and weight room, along with lifetime fitness and wellness space to accommodate over 580 students who we are currently unable to accommodate in courses in this area alone. So as a school district, we've continued to explore a variety of partnerships with local organizations, developers, and other community partners. The purpose of our hearing this evening is to move forward with a very exciting aquatics project and to address the comprehensive needs of Westfield Washington School students with a cost of up to $15 million in a more sustainable long-term plan for aquatics operations. Our plan would be to continue to operate our current Westfield High School pool until the new aquatics facility is completed and then opened in the fall of 2020. We would then move forward with the last phase of the Westfield High School renovation project. I'm excited to share that the Wheeler family is with us this evening, and also developers Nick Churchill and Rob Antrim, Westfield Washington Schools, and the YMCA of Greater Indianapolis. I'm not sure if someone from the YMCA is with us here this evening, have signed a non-binding memorandum of understanding that contemplates development of a full facility YMCA and conjoined natatorium facility on approximately 10 acres of the Wheeler's family property at the southwest corner of Wheeler Road and 181st Street in Westfield. The project is dependent on several important preconditions such as fundraising and developmental approvals. If all conditions are met, the group hopes to break ground in the spring of 2019 and open the new YMCA Center and natatorium in the fall of 2020.
Thank you, Dr. Great. Ryan, I believe you have some comments regarding financing.
So the board has the long sheet next to them. One item we just wanted to point out as we've been working through this process is just what is the potential tax rate impact compared to today. So if you look on your sheet at column 15, which is the blue column, you'll see that this project, along with another project that will be discussed later this evening, will not cause the tax rate to increase over today's rate at all as our debt continues to fall off. So that was one very key point for us as we continue to move down this path.
At this time, we are open for comments from members of the public or questions from members of the public regarding this project. If anyone has comments they would like to make or questions they would like to ask, we'd be open to those to happen right now. Sir?
Come on up.
Okay. My name is Andy Wheeler, 1968 graduate of Westfield High School. I was the third generation to graduate from Westfield, and my family is very excited about this program and partnering with the schools and the YMCA to put a Class A facility together, and we look at it as a wise use of tax dollars.
Anyone else wish to ask a question, make a comment?
I will. Thank you to the Wheeler family, and thank you to the school board and for the Westfield community. My name is Derek Thomas. I'm currently our head swim coach at the high school, and I'm also the head swim coach for Westfield Aquatics. So this is something that has directly impacted us with the renovations and the closing of the middle school pool. And knowing that our program has been kind of small and we've had to even cut some of this programming, projecting forward and what we're able to offer the community in a few years is very, very exciting for us. And we view it not only as a competitive boost for our students on the competitive swim team and on the club team, but also as a great opportunity for the community of Westfield to make our youth water safe, which is one of the key important issues in our country, opening up those opportunities as they grow older to be safe in a lot of different activities, and also for the wellness of our entire community. So thank everyone very, very much. We're very excited.
If I could, Bill Davis, I'm the athletic director at the high school. Just one, I think this is a great lesson for the kids that we have here. The generosity that the Wheeler family is showing is something that is not only commendable, but also very teaching for our kids. We want to grow up to be generous people, and this is a very generous situation we have here. Thank you.
We don't want to exclude anyone, but we don't want to prolong it either. So if there's anyone else who wishes to speak or ask questions, make comments of any type, this is your opportunity. Ma'am?
Andrew Todd, President of Westfield Aquatics. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I didn't know how many people would show, and I sent out my email, so I appreciate it. Thank you to the school board for considering us, supporting us. This is huge. We've been waiting a long time. So I'm hoping it goes our way. I hate this. Thank you, Wheeler family. I can't even express. I'm so excited. This is very exciting. Derek's been with us for a year. I've been on the board for almost 4 years. We've been talking about this for probably about 6 years. So as a team, just trying to figure out how to make it happen. So really hoping this works, and thank you all very much for coming. This is awesome.
Again, is there anyone else who wishes to speak?
I have a question. At what stage of this project will we see like what it's going to be, the preliminary drawings and layout of all of the YMCA, the pool, and that natatorium that's proposed?
Well, I can tell you that we have begun to have some of those conversations, and I think that at this particular point, because we have a non-binding agreement, our next step is to move further into creating a memorandum of understanding that is a binding agreement, and then we'll get further into the details of being able to release designs and then that next phase, which really should be, I would say, maybe in the next 3 to 4 months, maybe sooner than that.
Right, thank you.
Other questions or comments?
My name is Joy Russ. I am a transplant to Indiana. I grew up in the New England area. I've had 2 children, one who was in Westfield Aquatics and one who is currently in there in the developmental range. And one thing that I wanted to share is that I am tremendously excited about the prospect of a pool that can serve a greater community than what we currently have. Growing up in the Northeast in New England, because there are so many open bodies of water, it was very unusual for me to not know kids who didn't know how to swim. And I think Derek Thomas, he mentioned, our coach, mentioned water safety. I don't know if you've seen the statistics, but it's really scary, the number of adults who cannot get into an open body of water and be able to swim to shore just 30 feet and be able to get themselves out. That's really scary, especially considering all the retention ponds that are here. And when my kids got old enough, it was important for me to find a quality swimming program for them to be able to learn how to swim. Because as I like to say, you can't do cartwheels out of a pond. It just doesn't happen. So the fact that we may have a pool that can serve a greater community and hopefully get kids here, because I know kids my daughter's age who do not know how to swim, and that is scary to me. It is very, very scary to me that they don't know how to swim. And hopefully get our community into the water and be able to be safe in the water, but also experience swimming. I was a high school swimmer myself, and the way that I know swimming can be is truly exciting to me. So I'm excited that this project is going to be hopefully moving forward.
Last call.
Well, I guess I would like to ask why was the the original referendum last year.
Sure, so I can speak to that a little bit. When we went through the focus groups and we were looking at the decision about whether we maintained one high school or we looked at two separate high schools or whether we kept one middle school or two separate middle schools, we were looking at what would be all of those amenities that we would need to incorporate into that design. We would also, we had, when we were looking at those 4 different options of what the different plans might be, we had dollar signs that were attached to each of those, whether that was to stay on site or to go off site. And then also what we did when we went through the focus groups, we looked at what was that maximum level or capacity that we thought that the community would support in a referendum based on how it might impact the tax rate. And just, quite frankly, knowing that we were, with the $90 million and you look at the intermediate and the middle school, that project being roughly around, I think, 42 million. And then what we might need to do at the high school, really, and then looking at the cost of a pool, whether we just renovated or whether we looked at a brand new pool. And then if we did a brand new pool, where was that going to fit on the site? And then knowing that with our demographic study that in 2027, we may be serving 3,000 students at the high school. There were just lots of different factors that were taken into consideration with the feasibility. But once we knew that we were at that $90 million mark and we knew that we had to accommodate the growth of up to 1,500 students at the intermediate, up to 1,500 students at the middle school, and up to 3,000 students at the high school, it just wasn't going to be feasible to get the pool in that project.
Final questions or comments? Mr. President, I believe we may close the public hearing at this time. There's not any reason for board action this evening, and we will come back to this topic again.
Thank you. Let the record reflect that we closed the public hearing at 7:19, and we'll take a brief pause. I want to thank all the support that this project has. I can tell you, at least on behalf of myself and I think on behalf of the board, this is something that's important to not only our community but also to the schools as well, and that's reflected by your attendance here tonight, so very much appreciated. Thank you. We'll take a brief 5-minute recess. Okay, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Westville, Washington School Board to order. It does look like we have a quorum present with all 5 school board members here. Thank you to the public that is still with us after the public hearing. We'll start our meeting with a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first item on the agenda is our superintendent's report. Dr. Gray.
Sure. So at this time, I would like to introduce Shannon Miller, who is a teacher here at Westfield Intermediate School, and she's going to have some introductions to do. But I recently received some letters from some of our students at the intermediate school, and I thought it would be good for the school board to hear a little bit more about their letters, simply because it has to do with the topic that we've been talking about, and that's school start times. And so, Mrs. Miller, I'm just going to turn it over to you.
Thank you for having us here, guys. These 3 brave students wrote a letter to Dr. Great this past winter, I guess. And in 6th grade language arts, by the way, I'm Shannon Miller, 6th grade language arts teacher. In 6th grade language arts, we do an argument reading and writing unit. And it culminates where each child picks a topic that interests them, that they feel passionately about. And they write a letter to an authentic audience, trying to convince them to join their side, join their position on that topic. They don't have to mail those letters, they just have to turn them into me. But these 3 decided to mail their letter about school start times to Dr. Great, and I'm really proud of them. They have some fantastic research that they did, and they are they have prepared for the last couple of weeks of bringing their arguments together so that they have some very interesting information to share with you guys. But I'm going to let them introduce themselves and tell you more because they're the real stars of the show here.
My name's Priya Mishra. My name's Kara Snedeker.
My name is Peyton Williams.
When you were a kid, did you ever wake up on a school day feeling very tired and drained?
There's an easy solution that would help students that have this problem get adequate sleep.
School day should start later in the morning at Westfield Intermediate School, middle school, and high school.
To begin, sleep is necessary in everyone's life, but not everyone gets enough of it. For instance, according to the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, children between the ages of 6 and 12 need between 9 and 12 hours of sleep, and teenagers ages 13 through 18 need 8 to 10 hours of sleep. However, 69% of adolescents have one or more sleep problems that sadly make reaching the desired amount of sleep almost impossible. Researchers also found that insufficient sleep is just as negative as binge drinking and marijuana. So when these adolescents are not receiving enough sleep, it is having an awful effect on them and their academic performance.
In addition, as students progress grade levels, they can receive more homework, and this can affect kids not getting to bed on time. Many students pull all-nighters in order to finish homework or to study for exams in their busy schedules. Your brain loses efficiency with each hour of sleep deprivation, says David Ernest, chair of the Department of Political Science. In addition, Samantha Steinberg, Global Post breaking news writer, reports that schools assign around 3.4 hours of homework a week. That's roughly 36 minutes of homework a day. That may not seem like a lot, but many kids have busy schedules, and to add about 36 minutes of homework onto that is hard to do. This may result in kids not getting to bed at the time they prefer. To sum up, if the school day starts later, older kids would be able to sleep a little later and still allow them time to do other activities.
Another reason is that when students do not receive enough sleep, it can increase stress. To illustrate that point, University of Pennsylvania researchers found that when students get 6 or less hours of sleep, they were more stressed, angry, sad, and mentally exhausted. Although 5th and 6th graders getting 6 hours of sleep is not very likely, it is much more common in high school. Additionally, according to the National Institute of Health, sleep deprivation is reported in adolescents 50% of the time during the day, and 70% of them reporting having insufficient sleep. It is clear that students are having issues falling asleep, and it would help them if they had more time to sleep in the morning to make up for the lost sleep at night.
In addition, insufficient sleep also affects adolescents' moods. For example, according to the American Psychological Association, lack of sleep can affect judgment, mood, and memory. These mental elements are closely related to the emotions and daily lives of adolescents. Also, the University of Georgia reports that adolescents who don't get enough sleep can face anxiety. In addition to being an emotional barrier, anxiety can affect students' personal and academic lives. In conclusion, sleep deprivation can negatively influence the moods and emotions of adolescents.
To add on to Peyton's point, many children who do not get enough sleep are also at a risk for dangerous health side effects. Ann Wheaton of the Center for Disease Control and Prevention explains that kids who do not receive enough sleep are more likely to gain weight, not participate in sports or physical activities, suffer from depression, smoke and do drugs, or do poorly in school. All of these side effects are major components to one's well-being. According to Harvard University, sleep deprivation can lead to long-term health conditions such as diabetes, high blood pressure, and heart disease. Furthermore, these conditions can lead to short life expectancy. It is scary that so many children are at a risk for these side effects. Given all the negative effects, the school day starting later would provide students the chance to get more sleep and avoid the unhealthy factors of sleep deprivation.
Our final reason that school should start later for 5th to 12th graders is that students who are able to get sufficient sleep will perform better academically. According to the CDC, the lack of sleep can lead students to perform poorly in school. Also, Stanford University reports that sleep deprivation can cause inability to concentrate. Poor performance in school can lead to bad grades, which can affect college acceptance. Likewise, the inability to concentrate can affect scores on important tests and assignments. It is essential that students get enough sleep so that their sleep patterns have a positive rather than negative impact on their academic performance.
Some opponents may argue that kids should just get to sleep earlier. However, the National Sleep Foundation, an organization based on sleep health, states that adolescents have an ordinary sleep pattern of going to bed later and waking up later as well. Students should take this fact into consideration. Schools should take this fact into consideration when determining school start times.
Based on our extensive research, we believe that school days starting for adolescents in their 5th to 12th grade years is a better option for Westfield Washington schools.
Thank you so much for listening and letting us share our ideas. We are very grateful and hope you will consider our research when you make a decision.
So thank you very much for presenting that. I have one comment. That's okay. So one of the things that, so all of us have different jobs that we have during the day, other than just being on the school board, even though that's really fun. One of the things that I do is I talk to college students that are going to be pharmacists, and one of the things that I talk to them about is how much sleep that they get, because when you're a pharmacist, you can't make a lot of mistakes, and you make more mistakes when you get less sleep. So I can tell you that I 100% agree with the research that you did, and I'll be interested in referencing a lot of that when we have these discussions. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Other board comments?
You did a great job.
Thank
So,
you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
All right, Dr. Great.
Okay, and because we will need a special board meeting to be able to have the additional hearing based on tonight's public hearing, I would like to make a recommendation to the school board that we have a special board meeting next Tuesday, May 15th at 7:30 p.m. here at Westfield Intermediate School.
We need to take action. Okay, we have a recommendation from the superintendent to have a special board meeting on May 15th at 7:30 p.m. The chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to have a special board meeting on May 15th at 7:30 p.m. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say aye. Motion carries 5-0. All right, Dr. Gray, anything else?
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is our consent agenda. The board members have been provided copies of the items in the consent agenda. The chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say aye. It's been approved 5-0. Next item on the agenda is personnel. Mr. Baldwin.
Good evening, everybody. You'll see the updates in red that you received today. One thing I wanted to make note of is it's normal this time of year to have some retirements. So I want to say special thanks for the years of service for Jan Brill, Kathy Llewellyn, and Myrna Griffin, who teaches right here at the intermediate school along with Jan. And Kathy Llewellyn's been a PT physical therapist for us for many years through the co-op and with us. So can't say enough about their years of service to our students and our staff members here, and we wish them the best in their retirement. So after reviewing personnel this evening with the updated changes, I just ask that you approve personnel as listed with any questions.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve personnel as listed.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve personnel as listed. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say aye. Motion carries 5-0. Do we need Mr. Day? Okay. We'll move to new business. The first item of new business is a 2018B high school bond. Mr. Tom Michael.
So I have two brief sections I'll read on each resolution. If you have any questions, please let me know. So the resolution of reapproving the building corporation. In order for the building corporation, a non-for-profit Indiana corporation, to issue tax-exempt bonds, the IRS requires that the school board approve the building corporation and authorize it to issue tax-exempt bonds on behalf of the school. The building corporation we'll be using on this is the same one we used for the 2018A for the intermediate and middle school, as we're trying to get a common use of just one of the building corporations. We have two currently. The resolution approving the form of 11th Amendment to the lease. The school corporation is funding this project through lease financing. It has done so with past construction renovation projects. Lease financings are used by school corporations across Indiana in order to borrow for renovation and construction. This type of financing does not count against the school corporation's constitutional debt allowance. The Westfield High School building is currently subject to a financing lease. We are amending that lease to extend the terms and increase the lease rental due from the school corporation. In exchange for the extension and increased lease rental, the building corporation will use the bond proceeds to make the needed improvements to the building. The increased lease rental, as shown in the resolution, will be sufficient to pay the principal and interest due to the bond holders. The total bond issuance for this project is going to be $47.5 million. So with the 42.5 we did earlier this year, that will create the total 90 that was approved during the referendum.
Thank you. I'm assuming you're recommending we adopt all three resolutions?
Just two on
Two
that.
resolutions,
Yeah.
got it. Okay. Chair will entertain a motion.
I move to adopt resolutions 2018-04 and 2018-05 for the 2018B high school bond as presented.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve, to adopt resolutions 2018-04 and 05 for the 2018B high school bond as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion is approved 5-0. Mr. Tom Michael.
All right, the 2018 GO bond, same process, and then I do want to walk through kind of the debt worksheet real quick at the end of it as well. So the preliminary bond resolution, the prelim bond resolution establishes the maximum amount to be borrowed, which is $5 million. The maximum term, which is 12 years, and then the maximum interest rate, which will be 5%. The interest rate for GO bonds is determined after the competitive sale of the bonds. One item listed on here, the approval of the financial advisor services, we did not receive the bids back till noon today, so that will not be approved tonight. We'll be able to move forward with that though prior to the board resolution on that one. So, and then the second resolution, the declaration of official intent to reimburse expenditures. If the school corporation pays any prelim costs related to the project in advance of receiving the bond proceeds, it may want to reserve the ability to reimburse from school bond proceeds after closing. The IRS requires that the school corporation declare its official intent to reimburse as documented in the resolution in order to reserve its ability to reimburse. The purpose of this GO specifically is technology, CPF building improvements, just the general day-to-day expenses on the CPF maintenance of equipment. And then also we have a severe need for vehicles in the district that have not been addressed in a long time when it comes to plows and just the general trucks wear and tear. We have floorboards, I believe, falling out of some of them. So in order to address that and offset kind of the tax cap loss that we lose every year, this is kind of an extreme need for us at this time. And then referring to the debt worksheet you have, just want to kind of walk through column 15 again, and then if you look at column 9 and 10 as well, what this has is basically laid out, assuming that everything were to move okay with the previous mentioned hearing this morning as well, with that $50 million project and looking at a $5 million GO. It gets back to, we wanted to make sure our tax rate was not going to increase during this process. So at this time, there would be no increase to the tax rate. All of the figures on here are very conservative at 5%. The last records we have from both entities, financial advisors that we requested, kind of what their previous sales were closer to 3%. So that means the payments would be even lower, tax rate would actually be even lower than what's expressed on this sheet. So even in the conservative role that we have here, we still wouldn't be increasing taxes. Answer any questions?
Okay. So you're recommending, do we need to modify language just based on the fact that we don't have the third part?
So recommending approval of the two resolutions, and then there is not a recommendation at this time for the FA services.
Okay, so we can go with what we have. Okay. All right, the chair will entertain a motion.
I move to adopt resolutions 2018-06 and 07 for the 2018 GEO bond as presented.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
A second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt resolutions 2018-06 and 07 and 2018 GEO bond as presented. Is there any discussion? So could we approve the financial advisor services at our meeting that we have next Tuesday?
We could add that on
Okay.
there, absolutely.
All right, any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say the same sign. Motion's approved 5-0. Next item on the agenda is Mr. Tom Michael. We could go to the next one, that's Mr. Tom Michael too.
Yeah, we're good. We ask that you approve the destruction of public records as presented in the board packet. Ms. Bohannon was grateful enough to get a lot together. I believe she also worked with Ms. Doyle to get a lot of that together as well. So.
Okay. I'll wait on my question. Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve destruction of public records as presented.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and second to approve the destruction of public records as presented. So there's a lot of public records in there.
We are required to keep a lot of paperwork.
Okay.
So the state has a very detailed timeline as to how long we have to have all record retention. And most of our boxes are labeled as to what date the records pertain to and what sort of files they have in it. That way we aren't flipping through every record every year, but instead grabbing the boxes. And then we will, once approved, we'll contract with the company to come in and grab it all and shred it at one time.
Is this a cleanup move?
It's an annual process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, good. I thought, so in reading through it, I thought some of the dates were a little older, but maybe that's just based on how long you.
It is, yeah. I mean, some of our stuff we have to actually keep indefinitely. So we have some records that go way back.
Okay. All right, we have a motion on the table. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Mr. Tom Michael.
All right. We have one grant this month. This is a $1,000 grant from Walmart, their community grant for the back-to-school workshop that we plan to host this summer. We can ask for approval of that.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the donations and grants as presented.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept donations and grants. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say aye. Motion carries 5-0. Next item on the agenda is to approve CTE course offerings. Dr. Gray.
Yeah, so Dan Doherty at Westfield High School has provided the school board with a list of new CTE course offerings that we'd like to offer for the 2018-19 school year. And I would recommend that the board approve the course offerings as presented, and also then that allows us to generate CTE funding by offering these courses.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the new CTE course offerings as presented.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second to approve the new CTE course offerings. Any discussion? So is this something that we just do once a year as well?
Well, typically, if they're new, once they've already been approved, then they don't have to come back. Yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. The next item on the agenda is Dr. Monwell.
Good evening. We have one item of consideration. Heartland Church utilizes Cary Ridge Elementary in 3 spaces for their Sunday church. And they have been at Cary Ridge since January 2016, and they're coming before you to request renewal on a contract for 2018 and 2019.
Thank you. The chair will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the church renewal request as presented.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the church renewal request as presented. Is there any discussion? This is on the 5-year plan to. So what was it? Ask it a zinger. We have a policy about how long they stay within the schools before they find another.
And they are currently looking for property in Westfield right now, and they hope to potentially purchase this year, which this will be their 3rd year.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
I asked the question like, oh. All right, thank you.
We didn't talk about that beforehand.
No. Okay, there's a motion on the table. All those in favor, is there any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Dr. Monwell.
We also have 3 items of consideration for summer camps for students at Westfield High School. One, the wrestling team to go to Lansing, Michigan for an overnight. Westfield High School football cheer to go to Indiana University for a camp competition. And our Westfield High School girls cross country team to participate in a day and night camp, which is located at Westfield High School. So the administration recommends recommends that the board approve those 3 tournaments, please.
Thank you. Okay, the chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the summer sport camps as requested.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the summer sports camp request as presented. Is there any other discussion? I guess any discussion. All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries 5-0. That ends the formal agenda. Do we have any? We do have. So it's been our tradition at the board to allow or to make sure that we have a section of our agenda dedicated to hearing from the audience, anyone that wishes to speak, and thank you for filling out a card. We have Phil Ward wishing to speak. And you are representing the Westfield Classroom Teachers Association.
Yes, my name is Phil Ward, and I'm one of the band directors here at Westfield Intermediate. I'm here to make a statement about a bill that will be considered at the upcoming special session of the Indiana General Assembly on May 14th. Lawmakers have said that they plan to consider House Bill 1315, a highly controversial bill that failed to pass in the legislature's regular session, which ended in March. Although this bill has been perceived as only impacting Gary and Muncie schools, it will no doubt negatively impact other communities in the future. The bill would allow Ball State to replace the elected school board of Muncie schools with its own appointed board and exempt the university from adhering to a whole host of laws impacting student learning forever. A community and its students deserve to have a school board that is accountable to the voters, not appointees who may not even live in the area. If legislators can take away one community's board, what's to stop them from taking away other communities' elected school board? Teachers in Muncie will be stripped of their exclusive representative the right to collectively bargain their salary and wage-related issues, and the requirement that they work under the same uniform teacher contract that every other teacher working in a public school district works under. Also, under this bill, beginning next school year, an emergency manager would have the authority to break any teacher's contract mid-year and lay off school employees. If schools are having a teacher shortage now, who would work in a school district knowing they have no due process or job security even to finish out the year? Overall, this bill has the potential of negatively impacting local control, teacher voice, and protections for students in many communities. This is not just a Muncie and Gary bill. It has future precedent-setting implications. I urge this board and our community to reach out to our area legislators and urge them to oppose House Bill 1350. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Normally, we don't engage with comments, but I can tell you that House Bill 1315 is on the radar for sure of the Indiana School Board Association, and our board has discussed the issue in the past. So thank you for bringing it up in part of the public comments. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak or would like to fill out a card and speak? Okay, seeing none. Our next meeting is May 15th, 2018 at 7:30 p.m. I noticed that got the out. That will be a special board meeting where we have a public hearing for 1028 public, or we'll do the 1028 business, yeah. All right, any other business? The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and second to adjourn. We stand adjourned.